So, loss of citizenship. So, loss of citizenship, the Citizenship Act 1955 prescribes three ways of losing citizenship. So, here three which prescribes three ways of losing citizenship, whether acquired under the Act or prior to it under the Constitution. Whether acquired under the Act or prior to it under the Constitution, that is renunciation, termination, and deprivation. RTD. So here the Citizenship Act, prescribes three ways of losing citizenship, whether acquired under the Act prior to it under the Constitution. Renunciation, termination, and deprivation. By renunciation, any citizens of India of full age and capacity can make a declaration renunciating by his Indian citizenship. Upon the registration of that declaration, that person ceases to be a citizen of India. So any citizen of India above full age and capacity can make a declaration renouncing his citizenship. Upon the registration of that declaration, that person ceases to be citizen of India. However, if such a declaration is made during a war in which India is engaged, its registration shall be withheld by the central government. So here he can make capacity can make a declaration renouncing his Indian citizenship. Any citizen of India, full age and capacity can make a declaration. And however, if such a declaration is that during a war in which India is engaged, its registration shall be withheld by the central government. Further, when a person renounces his Indian citizenship, every minor child of that person also loses Indian citizenship. However, with such a child attains the age of 18, every minor child of that person also eligible also loses Indian citizenship. However, when such a child attains the age of 18, he may resume Indian citizenship. By termination, when an Indian citizen voluntarily and consciously, knowing and without duress, undue influence of or compulsion, when an Indian citizen voluntarily, consciously, knowingly, and without duress, undue influence of or compulsion acquires the citizenship of another country, his Indian citizenship automatically terminates. This provision, however, does not apply during a war in which India is engaged. So here by termination is important all the time. Indian citizen voluntarily, consciously, knowingly, and without duress, undue influence or compulsion acquired the citizenship of other country, Indian citizenship automatically terminates. This provision, however, does not apply during the war in which India is engaged. By deprivation, it is compulsory termination of Indian citizenship by the central government if the citizen has obtained the citizenship or by fraud. The citizenship has shown disloyalty to the Constitution of India. The citizenship has unlawfully traded or communicated with the enemy during a war. The citizen has within 5 years after registration or naturalization been imposed in any country for 2 years. The citizen has within 5 years after registration or naturalization been imprisoned in any country for 2 years. The citizen has been ordinarily resident out of India for 7 years continuously. The single citizenship, though the Indian Constitution is a federal and envisages a dual polity, center and states, It provides for only a single citizenship. So, sorry, and though Indian constitution is federal and invests a dual polity, center and states, it provides only a single citizenship, like Canada, and but not in USA. So that is the Indian citizenship. The citizens of India owe allegiance only to the Union. There is no separate state citizenship. The other federal states like USA and Switzerland, on the other hand, adopted this system of dual citizenship. And so, like Switzerland and USA, they have dual citizenship. Adopted as the system of dual citizenship in USA, each person is not only the citizen of USA but also of the particular state to which he belongs. Thus, he owes allegiance to both and enjoy dual set of rights. One set of conferred by the national government and another by the state government. One set conferred by the national government and another is by the state government. This system creates the problem of discrimination. That is, a state may discriminate in favor of its citizens in matters like right to vote, right to hold public offices. So here, this system creates the problem of discrimination that is the state may discriminate in favor of its citizens in matters like right to vote, right to hold public offices, and right to practice professions or so on. This problem is avoided in the system of single citizenship prevalence in India. Please remember, it's important all the time. So the system creates problem of discrimination and discriminate in favor of its citizens in matter like right to vote and right to hold public offices and right to practice profession and so on and so on. In India, all citizens, irrespective of the state in which they are born and reside, enjoy the same political and civil rights of citizenship all over the country, and no discrimination is made between them. However, this general rule of absence of discrimination is subject to some exceptions. The Parliament, under Article 16, can prescribe residence within a state or union territory as a conditions for certain employments or appointments. Parliament's Article 16 can prescribe residence within a state or union territory as a condition for certain employments and or appointments in that state or union territory or local authority or other authority within the state or union territory. Accordingly, the Parliament enacted the Public Employment Requirements as to Residence Act 1957 and thereby authorized the Government of India to prescribe residential qualification only for appointment or to non-gazetted posts in Andhra Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, and Manipur and Tripura. As this act expired in 1934, there is no such provision for any state except Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. The Parliament under Article 16 prescribed residence within a state or union territory as a condition for certain employments or appointments is that in that state or union territory or local authority or other authority within that state or union territory. Accordingly, the Parliament enacted the Public Employment Requirement as to Residence Act 1957 and thereby authorized the Government of India to prescribe residential qualification only for appointment of two non-gazetted posts in Andhra Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Manipur and Tripura. As this act expired in 1934, there is no such provisions for any state except Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. The Constitution under Article 15 prohibits discrimination. Any citizen on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth and not on the ground of residence, this means that the state can provide special benefits and give preference to its residents in matters that do not come within the purview of the rights given by the Constitution to the Indian citizens. For example, a state may offer concessions in fees for education to its residents. The freedom of movement and residence, Article 19, it is subject to the protection of interest of any scheduled tribe. In other words, the rights of outsiders to enter, reside, or and settle in tribal areas is restricted. Of course, this is done to protect the distinctive culture, language, customs, and manners of scheduled tribes and to safeguard their traditional vocation and property against exploitation. In the case of Jammu and Kashmir, the state legislature is empowered to define the persons who are permanent residents. The state legislature is empowered to define the persons who are permanent residents of the state and confer any special rights and privileges in matters of employment under the state government, acquisition of immovable property in the state, settlement in the state, and scholarship and such other forms of aid provided by the state government. In the case of Jammu and Kashmir, the state legislature is empowered to define the persons who are permanent residents. The person who are the permanent residents of the state and confer any special rights and privileges in matter of employment under the state government, state government, acquisition of immovable property in the state, settlement in state, and scholarship and such other forms of aid provided by the state government. The Constitution of India, like that of Canada, has introduced the system of single citizenship and provided uniform rights except in few cases for the people of India to promote the feeling of fraternity and unity among them and to build integration India on integrated Indian nation. Despite this, India has been witnessing the communal rights, class conflicts, caste wars, linguistic clashes, ethnic disputes. Thus, the cherished goal of the founding fathers and the constitution maker to build an united and integrated Indian nation has not been fully realized. So, next we discuss overseas citizens of India. So, thank you.